to a world where nothing is quite as it seems. Welcome to Fake Britain.
Police! Police officers, stand where you are! You're under arrest.
In this series, I'm going to be investigating the world of the criminals who make their money at your expense. And I'm going to be showing you how not to get ripped off. Coming up, we find out the shocking truth about fake electrical cables.
This fake cable is going to put people's lives at risk if there was a fire.
How mass-produced art from China is being sold as the real deal.
I now know it's a complete fake. It's virtually brand new, and a lot more of these are appearing.
And how a stolen identity turned a dream wedding anniversary into a nightmare.
At this point, they were putting me in handcuffs and taking me off to a cell for the night.
The UK has one of the highest electrical safety standards in the world, and with millions of miles of cabling fitted to our businesses, hospitals, schools and indeed our homes, it needs to be. So you may be as shocked as me to discover that even this stuff has been faked. And who knows, it could be fitted to a fuse box near you. Electrical cables come in all shapes and sizes, and we take it for granted that they do what they say they do. In this warehouse, there are 1 million metres of cable that have been seized from all over the UK, and all of it is suspected to be fake. In just 9 months, 20 million metres of suspected fake cable has been removed from the supply chain. That's 20 times this amount, so the problem is huge. In fact, it's so big that the Approved Cables Initiative has been set up to tackle the fakers.
Of course, we can name and shame, and that is the ultimate aim. And the Approved Cables Initiative has been set up specifically to target this sort of problem.
It's thought that 1 in 5 electrical cables in the UK is fake, from potentially dangerous substandard ones to outright fakes that will never work at all. All of them are dangerous.
20% of all fires are caused by electrical fires, and electrical fires of that, quite a lot is attributed to wire and cable faults. There's nothing worse than a counterfeit cable. It could cause a fire, but that fire could be anywhere. It could be in a void, it could be in a duct, it could be under the stairs or behind a wall.
These are pictures of the damage caused by electrical fires. No one knows how many have been caused by fake cables, but with 20 million metres of the stuff coming into the country, many experts believe the fakes are responsible for a lot of them.
This is supposed to be fire-resistant cable. It's counterfeit and has been proven to be counterfeit. And on the cable itself, it does say British made, but we know it's not.
So we took it to a specialist testing facility to see if it would set alarm bells ringing.
This is typically used for fire alarms, emergency lighting, so this powers the system, and it's supposed to continue to operate in the fire for up to 3 hours. So whilst the cable is burning, it carries on operating. The emergency lights have to be there so that people can see their way to escape routes, and also for the firefighting service when they arrive. So continued operation in a fire is vital for these types of cables. The materials that you make the cable with are critical, really, to achieve that fire performance. Almost all the cables that are produced in the UK have to be marked on the outside. If it's marked on the outside, your assumption is that that manufacturer is telling you that the product complies with that standard.
Doug shows us how they test the cable's performance in a controlled fire.
This is one of the standard fire tests that we use to check the cable. It's a simple gas burner, and the cable will sit in the rings above the burner, and it will be connected to an electrical circuit, connected to the lights behind it. And we simply just put the burner on, the cable will sit there. For the average person, they're not going to know the difference between these two cables. They look pretty much the same. The only way to find out that it's not any good is by doing tests like this, like the fire test. So the materials of the good cable in a fire won't give off a lot of smoke. As you can see here, the outer jacket of the cable has swelled up and it's protecting the inside of the cable, and you can see there's very little fumes coming off it.
Next up is the counterfeit one.
The fake cable, it's made of a PVC. That will give off lots of smoke, and you'll see it burning quite a lot. The smoke is toxic, and so that's going to hamper people escaping anyway. And the material doesn't protect the inside, and therefore it fails very quickly.
The camera crew weren't allowed to stay in the chamber because of the toxic fumes given off in seconds. The circuit is broken and the emergency lights go out. With no alarm or lights working, it would be almost impossible to escape in time.
So for all sorts of reasons, this is going to be a risk in a fire. And these are used in hospitals, schools, shopping centres, offices. So throughout Britain, this cable is there for safety in case of fire. And this fake cable is going to put people's lives at risk.
The real cable is designed to stay intact for 3 hours in burning flames, but the fake fails in less than 2 minutes. By the time people realise there's a fire, it's probably too late because of the toxic smoke. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the rising price of copper has tempted even more people to make fakes. Copper is the main component of electrical cables as it carries the current. The soaring price of it means it takes just one bright spark to skimp on the amount they put in the cable for there to be deadly consequences.
This is a piece of flexible cable. It's widely used all around the house, kettle leads, extension leads, and of recent years copper has become very expensive. It's gone from £2,000 a tonne to about £5,000 a tonne. So it's created a situation where people are tempted to scrimp on the amount of copper. We've found quite a lot of product in the marketplace where the amount of copper in the cable isn't enough. Sometimes by a small amount, but sometimes by quite significant amounts. And the cable is marked with the correct size, but the actual amount of copper doesn't comply with that. This is a very simple test that just looks at the amount of copper by measuring the resistance of the copper conductor. The resistance of this size of cable should not be more than 13.3. In this case, we'll see a much larger number because there's a lot less copper in it than there should be.
The resistance should be 13.3, but in this case, it's 21.1, so it could overheat and cause a fire. So these cables are just as dangerous as the fake fire cable. Once they find the fakes, the industry needs to make sure they don't put anyone's lives at risk. All the fake cable found across the whole of the UK must be destroyed. It is unravelled and shredded, and the valuable copper and steel is separated from the rest and recycled to make new and safe cable.